Cry 1 is a first-person shooter video game developed by Crytek and published by Ubisoft. It was released in March 2004 for Microsoft Windows. The game is set on a remote island in Micronesia, where the player character, Jack Carver, is stranded after a plane crash. He soon discovers that the island is controlled by a paramilitary group led by Dr. Krieger, a rogue scientist who is conducting illegal experiments on the island's inhabitants. Carver must fight his way through the island, battling both the paramilitary forces and the mutated creatures that have been created by Krieger's experiments. Along the way, he meets a local woman named Maya, who helps him to navigate the island and learn more about Krieger's plans. The game is notable for its open-world environment, which allows players to explore the island at their own pace. It also features a variety of weapons and vehicles, as well as a number of side quests that can be completed. Far Cry 1 was a critical and commercial success, and it is considered to be one of the most influential first-person shooter games of all time. System requirements supported. OS Windows 2000/XP only. Processor AMD Athlon 1 GHz or Pentium 3 GHz. Memory 256 MB. Graphics 64 MB. DirectX 9.0 B compliant graphics card. See supported list. Sound DirectX 9.0 B compliant PCI card. Sound Blaster Audigy series recommended. DirectX 9.0 B or higher. Far Cry 2 is set in an unnamed African country torn apart by a bloody civil war. The player takes on the role of a nameless mercenary afflicted with malaria, hired to assassinate an elusive arms dealer known only as the Jackal. The game's narrative is driven by a series of morally ambiguous choices and a focus on survival in a harsh and unforgiving environment. The player must navigate a complex web of warring factions, navigate dangerous terrain, and contend with the constant threat of disease and death. The Jackal, a shadowy figure who fuels the conflict by supplying weapons to both sides, remains largely unseen throughout the game. His presence is felt through his influence on the war and the various missions the player undertakes to track him down. As the player progresses, they are drawn deeper into the conflict, encountering a cast of memorable characters, including the Shaman, a mysterious figure who provides the player with medicine to combat malaria. The Advertiser, a cynical opportunist who exploits the war for profit. The Arms Dealer, a ruthless businessman who supplies weapons to both sides of the conflict. The Warlord, a brutal dictator who controls a significant portion of the country. The game's ending is deliberately ambiguous, leaving the player to question the true nature of their mission and the impact of their actions on the war-torn country. Far Cry 2 is a gritty and uncompromising game that offers a unique and challenging experience. Its focus on survival, moral ambiguity, and open-ended gameplay has earned it a dedicated following and a place as one of the most critically acclaimed games in the Far Cry series. System requirements for Far Cry 2. Operating system Microsoft Windows XP or Windows Vista, 64-bit versions. Processor Intel Pentium 4 at 3.2 GHz, Intel Pentium D at 2.66 GHz, AMD Athlon 64-3500 Plus at 2.2 GHz, or better. RAM 2 GB, video card 256 MB, shader model 3 required, NVIDIA GeForce 6800, ATI Radeon RX 1650, or better. Far Cry 3 is an open-world first-person shooter video game developed by Ubisoft Montreal and published by Ubisoft. It was released in November 2012 for PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, and Microsoft Windows. The game is set on the fictional Rook Islands, a tropical archipelago controlled by pirates. The story follows Jason Brody, a young man who travels to the Rook Islands with his friends for a vacation. Their vacation takes a turn for the worse when they are captured by pirates and sold into slavery. Jason and his brother, Grant, manage to escape, but Grant is killed by the pirate leader, Vas Montenegro. Jason is then forced to fight for his survival and rescue his friends. The game is known for its open world, which allows players to explore the Rook Islands at their own pace. The game also features a variety of weapons and vehicles, as well as a number of side quests and activities. Far Cry 3 was a critical and commercial success, and it was praised for its story, gameplay, and graphics. It was also nominated for several awards, including Game of the Year. Here is a more detailed summary of the story. Jason Brody and his friends travel to the Rook Islands for a vacation. They are captured by pirates and sold into slavery. Jason and his brother, Grant, manage to escape, but Grant is killed by Vas Montenegro. Jason is then forced to fight for his survival and rescue his friends. Jason meets a rock yacht named Dennis, who helps him to survive in the jungle. Jason also meets a drug-addicted doctor named Doctor Earnhardt, who helps him to find the ancient blade that the rock yacht are looking for. Jason eventually finds his friends, but they are being held captive by Vas. Jason kills Vas and rescues his friends. However, they are then attacked by a group of mercenaries. Jason kills the mercenaries and escapes the island with his friends. The game ends with Jason and his friends returning to civilization. However, Jason is haunted by his experiences on the Rook Islands. He eventually decides to return to the island to help the rock yacht. Far Cry 3 is a complex and engaging story that will keep you hooked from beginning to end. It is a must-play for fans of open-world first-person shooters. System requirements: OS, Windows XP, Windows Vista. Processor Intel Core 2 Duo E6700 at 2.6 GHz or AMD Athlon 64 X2 6000 Plus at 3.0 GHz or better. Memory 4 GB RAM. Graphics 512 MB. Video RAM 1 GB video RAM. DirectX 9C, DirectX 11. Shader model 3.0. Shader model 5.0. DirectX 9.0C. Hard drive 15 GB HD space. Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon is a standalone expansion pack for the 2012 video game Far Cry 3. Set in a neon-drenched, 1980s-inspired post-apocalyptic world, it follows the story of Sergeant Rex Power Colt, a cyber commando tasked with stopping his former commander, Colonel Sloan, from using dragon blood to turn the world's population into primitive savages. The story. In the year 2007, the world is reeling from the aftermath of a nuclear war. Cyber Commando Rex Power Colt and his partner, Spider, are sent to a remote island to investigate Colonel Sloan, a rogue agent who has gone rogue. Sloan believes that the world has become too civilized and seeks to regress humanity back to a more primal state, using the blood of genetically engineered dragons to achieve his goal. Upon arriving on the island, Rex and Spider are ambushed by Sloan's forces. Spider is killed, and Rex is knocked unconscious. He awakens to find himself aided by Dr. Elizabeth Darling, Sloan's former assistant who has defected after learning of his plans. With Darling's help, Rex embarks on a mission to stop Sloan. He must navigate the island's treacherous terrain, fight off hordes of mutated creatures, and take down Sloan's cybernetic soldiers. Along the way, he uncovers Sloan's plan to launch missiles containing dragon blood across the globe, effectively turning the entire world's population into mindless savages. Rex eventually confronts Sloan in his heavily fortified base. After a fierce battle, Rex defeats Sloan and destroys his missiles, preventing the apocalypse. However, the island's ecosystem has been irrevocably altered by the dragon blood, and Rex is forced to evacuate with Darling as the island descends into chaos. Key elements of the story: 1980s action movie trope. The game is a deliberate homage to 1980s action films, complete with over-the-top violence, cheesy one-liners, and a synthwave soundtrack. Cyberpunk aesthetics. The game's neon-drenched visuals and futuristic technology create a unique cyberpunk atmosphere. Humorous tone. Despite the serious stakes, the game maintains a lighthearted and often humorous tone, poking fun at action movie cliches. Character development. While the story is primarily focused on action, there are moments of character development for Rex and Darling, revealing their motivations and personal struggles. Overall, Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon is a unique and entertaining experience that blends action, humor, and nostalgia to create a memorable gaming experience. Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon system requirements: CPU 2.66 GHz, Intel Core 2 Duo E6700 or 3.0 GHz, AMD Athlon 64 X26000 plus RAM 2 GB, GPU 512 MB, DirectX 9.0C compliant, DX DirectX 9.0C, OS Windows XP SP3, Windows Vista SP2, Windows 7 SP1, Windows 8, STO 3 GB HD space, Sound DirectX 9.0C compliant. Far Cry 4 is set in the fictional Himalayan kingdom of Kyrat, ruled by the eccentric and flamboyant dictator Pagan Min. The game follows Ajay Ghale, a Kyratese American man who returns to his homeland to scatter his mother's ashes. However, his arrival coincides with a civil war between Min's regime and the Golden Path, a rebel group fighting for Kyrat's liberation. Ajay is quickly drawn into the conflict, forced to choose sides and navigate the complex political landscape. The Golden Path is led by Amita and Nirmala, two charismatic but opposing figures. Amita advocates for a militant, revolutionary approach, while Nirmala favors a more peaceful, community-focused strategy. Ajay's choices throughout the game significantly impact the future of Kyrat, determining which leader ultimately prevails and the fate of the Golden Path. Pagan Min, a complex and unpredictable villain, adds another layer to the conflict. While undeniably brutal and ruthless, he also possesses a certain charm and charisma, making him a captivating and unsettling presence. His motivations are often unclear, and his actions are unpredictable, keeping players on edge and questioning their allegiances. The game's open world is vast and diverse, offering a variety of activities and challenges. Players can explore lush valleys, treacherous mountains, and vibrant cities, encountering unique characters, engaging in side quests, and completing challenges. The world is filled with wildlife, from majestic elephants to ferocious tigers, adding to the immersive experience. Far Cry 4's story is a blend of political intrigue, personal conflict, and action-packed gameplay. It explores themes of revolution, freedom, and the consequences of violence. The choices players make have a lasting impact on the narrative, shaping the future of Kyrat and the lives of its people. System requirements for Far Cry 4. Operating system: Windows 10, 64-bit versions. Processor AMD Phenom 2 X4955 at 3.2 GHz. Intel Core i5-750 at 2.6 GHz or better. RAM 4 GB. Video card AMD Radeon HD 5850 1 GB. NVIDIA GeForce GTX 460 1 GB or better. Hard drive 30 GB available storage. DirectX version DirectX 11. Far Cry Primal is set in the Stone Age, where players take on the role of Takar, a hunter-gatherer who becomes the leader of the Wenja tribe. The game is set in the fictional region of Oros, a land filled with dangerous animals and rival tribes. Takar's journey begins as a lone wanderer, scavenging for food and shelter. However, he soon discovers that he has a unique ability to tame animals, which becomes his greatest strength. As he progresses through the game, Takar encounters various challenges and threats, including the Udam tribe, a group of brutal warriors who seek to conquer Oros. To unite the Wenja tribe and protect them from the Udam, Takar must complete a series of tasks, such as hunting legendary beasts, completing rituals, and eliminating Udam leaders. Along the way, he encounters a variety of characters, including Jaima, a skilled hunter and tracker, and Woga, a shaman who provides guidance and support. As Takar's reputation grows, he gains the respect of the Wenja and becomes a formidable leader. He eventually confronts Ul, the leader of the Udam, in a final showdown that determines the fate of Oros. Throughout the game, players can explore the vast and diverse landscape of Oros, encounter a variety of prehistoric animals, and experience the challenges of survival in a harsh and unforgiving world. Far Cry Primal offers a unique and immersive experience that allows players to step back in time and experience the Stone Age in all its glory. System requirements: OS, Windows 10, 64-bit versions only. Processor: Intel Core i3-550, AMD Phenom 2 X4 955 or equivalent. Memory: 4 GB RAM. Graphics: NVIDIA GeForce GTX 460 1 GB RAM. AMD Radeon HD 5770 1 GB RAM or equivalent. Storage: 20 GB available space. Far Cry 5 takes place in Hope County, Montana, a picturesque region that has fallen under the control of Project at Eden's Gate, a doomsday cult led by the charismatic yet terrifying Joseph Seed. The player assumes the role of a junior deputy sheriff, tasked with arresting Joseph Seed. However, the mission quickly goes awry, and the deputy finds themselves trapped in Hope County as the cult's influence spreads. To liberate the region, the deputy must join forces with various resistance factions, each with their own unique motivations and fighting styles. These factions include the Dutch, a rugged survivalist and former Green Beret, leading a group of hunters and outdoorsmen. Herc, a bombastic, muscle-bound explosives expert with a penchant for over-the-top weaponry. Pastor Jerome Jeffries, a charismatic preacher who rallies the remaining faithful against the cult. The game's open world allows for a non-linear approach. Players can tackle missions in any order, explore the vast wilderness, and engage in a variety of side activities, such as hunting animals, fishing, and completing challenges. The core gameplay revolves around combat, utilizing a wide array of weapons, from pistols and assault rifles to rocket launchers and flamethrowers. Players can also recruit allies, such as guns for hire, to assist them in combat. A key element of the story is the Seed family, Joseph's siblings. John Seed, the faith of the father lieutenant, known for his brutal interrogation methods and ability to break the will of his captives. Jacob Seed, the wrath of the father lieutenant, a military veteran who commands the cult's paramilitary forces. Faith Seed, the hope of the father. Lieutenant, a seductive and manipulative figure who uses a powerful hallucinogenic drug called Bliss to control her followers. To defeat Joseph Seed, the deputy must first weaken his influence by eliminating these lieutenants and liberating their respective regions of Hope County. The story explores themes of faith, freedom, and the dangers of extremism. It delves into the psychological manipulation tactics employed by cults and the devastating impact they can have on individuals and communities. Far Cry 5 offers a challenging and rewarding experience with a compelling narrative, stunning visuals, and intense gameplay. It's a game that stays with you long after the credits roll, prompting reflection on the themes it explores. System requirements for Far Cry 5 operating system: Windows 10, 64-bit versions. Processor AMD FX 630 at 3.5 GHz, Intel Core i5-2 400 at 3.1 GHz or better. RAM 8 GB. Video card AMD Radeon R 9270, 2 GB. NVIDIA GeForce GTX 670, 2 GB or better. Hard drive 40 GB available storage. DirectX version, DirectX 11. Far Cry. New Dawn is set 17 years after the events of Far Cry 5 in a post-apocalyptic Hope County, Montana. A nuclear war has devastated the world, and the survivors are struggling to rebuild their lives. The game follows the story of a new protagonist, a female mercenary known only as the Captain, who arrives in Hope County with her partner, Thomas Rush. They are drawn into a conflict between the remaining inhabitants of Hope County and a new group of raiders known as the Highwaymen, led by the twin sisters Mickey and Lou. The Captain and Rush quickly become involved in the struggle for survival. They help the residents of Hope County to rebuild their homes and defend themselves against the Highwaymen. As they progress through the game, they learn more about the Highwaymen and their leader, the twins. They also learn about the history of Hope County and the events that led to the nuclear war. The Captain and Rush eventually confront the twins and defeat them. However, the game ends on a somewhat ambiguous note, as it is unclear whether Hope County will ever be able to fully recover from the devastation of the nuclear war. Far Cry New Dawn is a challenging and rewarding game that offers a unique take on the post-apocalyptic genre. It is a must-play for fans of the Far Cry series and anyone who enjoys open-world action games. System requirements for Far Cry New Dawn. Operating system, Windows 10, 64-bit versions. Processor Intel Core i5-240 at 3.1 GHz, AMD FX 6350 at 3.9 GHz, SSE 4.1 support or higher required, or better. RAM 8 GB. Video card NVIDIA GeForce GTX 670, 2 GB, or AMD Radeon R 9270X, 2 GB, or better. Hard drive 30 GB available, storage. Far Cry 6 is set on the fictional Caribbean island of Yara, ruled with an iron fist by the charismatic but ruthless dictator Anton Castillo. Castillo, played by Giancarlo Esposito, has been in power for decades, maintaining control through fear and propaganda. He has instilled a toxic blend of nationalism and militarism, turning Yara into a police state where dissent is met with brutal force. The story follows the player character, Dani Rojas, a Yaran guerrilla fighter who joins the Libertad movement, a rebel group fighting to overthrow Castillo's regime. Dani, voiced by either Nisa Gunduz or Sean Ray, depending on the player's choice, is a resourceful and determined individual who quickly becomes a key figure in the revolution. The game's narrative explores themes of political oppression, revolution, and the complexities of family and loyalty. Dani must navigate a complex web of alliances and betrayals as they fight to liberate Yara from Castillo's grip. Along the way, they encounter a colorful cast of characters, including Clara Garcia, a fellow rebel leader, and Juan Cortez, a former revolutionary turned informant. The story unfolds through a series of missions, ranging from stealthy infiltrations and high-octane combat encounters to more personal and emotional quests. Dani must utilize their skills and resources to sabotage Castillo's regime, gather support for the revolution, and ultimately confront the dictator himself. The game's world is rich and detailed, featuring diverse environments ranging from lush jungles and vibrant cities to desolate wastelands. Yara is a living, breathing ecosystem filled with wildlife, unique characters, and hidden secrets waiting to be discovered. Far Cry 6's story is a thrilling and engaging journey through a fictionalized Caribbean island in the midst of a revolution. It offers a thought-provoking exploration of themes of freedom, oppression, and the human cost of conflict. The game's immersive world, compelling characters, and exciting gameplay make it a memorable experience for fans of the Far Cry series and action-adventure games alike. System requirements: operating system, Windows 10, 20H1 version or newer, 64-bit versions. Processor AMD Ryzen 312, 0 at 3 GHz or Intel Core i5-4460 at 3.1 GHz, AVX, AVX2, and SSE 4.2 support required, RAM 8 GB, dual channel mode, video card AMD RX 460, 4 GB, or NVIDIA GeForce GTX 960, 4 GB. Hard drive 60 GB available storage. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe my player channel.